6:04. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. We are starting you off at 69 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for, news-wise, it's a busy Monday show. We're kind of all over the map here. Our guest list is, and John, we're going to work in real time here. You can cancel Karen Travers at 6:35. She had a prior commitment.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Our guest list will begin at 7:15. Will Landry. We'll stop by from Our Lady of the Lake, talking AI and healthcare for Medical Monday. Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from LABI at 7:35, talking educational bills in the state legislature and the DOTD revamp. 8 o'clock hour, chairman of the Poop Committee, Moon Griffon, at 8:15, and then we'll wrap it up with Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company, as they've got a busy summer slated down, just down the road, just down I-10 in New Orleans. But we don't get to anything until we start off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Well, the bear saga is over for now. Friday, the bear made it to Broadmoor, posted up in a tree outside of the Broadmoor United Methodist Church, likely seeking religious asylum. The area was placed on lockdown as officials tried to wait him out. Around 8:30 Friday night, wildlife fisheries agents sedated the bear, relocated him to a wildlife management area.
Number 4.
Busy night for Baton Rouge fire last night. Two different fires to respond to. Fires responded to a vacant house fire on Jefferson Avenue. That call came across at that one was this morning at about 3:15. The home was a total loss. However, there were no injuries. This was like I said, this one was on Jefferson Avenue. And then add to that, just a couple within the same couple of hours worth of frame here. 2 hours prior, firefighters responded to a house fire on Southern Avenue. Smoke was coming from the back of the house. They are working to determine the cause of both of these fires.
Number 3.
Janet Simmons, president and CEO of Hope Ministries, took over yesterday as the interim superintendent for Breck. Corey Wilson not serving out the rest of the year. He's gone ahead and moved on.
Number 2.
Senate Finance Committee advanced the state's budget bills yesterday, restoring $30 million in high-dose tutoring for K-12 students and maintaining a $199 million, the 129. How about I try that again and slow down? And maintaining the $199 million appropriated for teacher stipends. This is partially due to the Revenue Estimating Conference recognizing an additional $60 million in state general funds. The budget next heads to the Senate floor for consideration before being returned to the House of Representatives for concurrence.
Number 1.
BRPD said one of their officers shot a suspect after he pointed an AK-style weapon at the officer on Sunday morning around 2:20 a.m. on Conrad Drive. Officers attempted to stop a vehicle after watching it run a red light at Winburn and Foster. Multiple armed suspects exited the vehicle, began running away. When the officer ran after the suspects, the driver of the vehicle pointed that AK-style weapon at the officer. Officer shot the suspect twice. Suspect was transported to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. What's trending, John?
Well, an attack on a pro-Israel rally in Boulder, Colorado is being called an act of terror by the FBI, who does have a suspect in custody.
And I learned they have the name on that suspect is now out there. I didn't get it yet. Is Mohammed something?
Mohammed Solomon.
Solomon. Okay. Yes. Homemade flamethrower is what we're doing now. This is where we're at now.
Wow. Yeah.
Whew. Okay. See, when I was reading the story last night, they said potentially Molotov cocktails, and that's bad enough.
Yeah.
But when you've made a homemade flamethrower, you've gone around the bend.
Yeah, that's a different level, man. 6 people aged 67 to 88 were injured, including a Holocaust survivor.
Right.
Yeah. Rabbi Israel Wilhelm. Yeah, man, just devastating, man. Like, apparently he was here illegally on a work permit under the Biden administration. So
okay.
There's that.
There is that.
You know, making flamethrowers in the garage there. In other news, a little bit more lighthearted news, sports news here. 59-0 LSU Shreveport did the impossible.
Not 59-20.
59-0.
And 0.
59-0.
Yeah.
Right. LSU Shreveport did the impossible in winning the NA IA title. They also capped off the first ever undefeated college baseball season.
They went 59-0, dude. They
Wow.
went 59. It's
impressive.
so impossible.
Gosh.
It's so like ridiculous to even think about. 59-0. How about it? And this coupled with LSU peeing down their leg last night.
But still, man, very
ridiculously impressive.
Man.
On any level.
Yeah.
On any level at all.
For sure.
In AIA, wherever you're at. It's the pilots, that's LSUS's mascot. They're it's just remarkable performance. It should be commended on so many different levels.
Yes, indeed. Well, Brian, we've got a back-to-back shark alligator rule this morning.
Okay.
First, deputies in Livingston Parish caught a 9-foot alligator on Bear Island Road on Saturday. Then Sunday, officers in St. Gabriel removed the gator from a residence as well.
It's that time of year.
Oh, man.
It is that time of year. You start kicking into the summer months right here. And, yep, this is when it ramps up.
Oof.
Not just the weather. I believe it's mating season as well, though, right?
Ooh,
it's not just the weather.
Yeah.
Because it's like late August is when the eggs will hatch. You ever been to a alligator farm?
Yes.
Okay. So my wife and I went a long
time
ago.
You basically live in one.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
You basically live.
I suppose that's true. A long time ago, and we need to do this again. My wife and I went to an alligator farm, hatched a little baby gator in her hand.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is. The gator farm was awesome. Because like you hatch the baby gator and then you see the smaller gators and you throw them the little marshmallows, and then you go to the bigger gators and they'll let a mouse loose.
Yeah.
And you'll start to root for the mouse. And you really start to root for the mouse because it's like, oh, look at him. He's right on the back of the gator. Look at the mouse. He's running. Snap.
Yeah. He gone.
Oh. Happens so fast.
Thanks.
But he gives you enough time and hope to believe in him first.
Right.
Don't make me believe in you. 611 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Top stories and trending, of course, brought to you by the folks at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. It is summertime. If you have not made your family travel plans over the summer, look, you think about taking the tribe cross country. You don't need to go see Eugene Levy for a used station wagon. No. Hit up FlyBTR.com. If you're booking your flight, take into account everything that goes into the flight. Not just the raw ticket prices, but the drive to get to the airport. If you're flying on a BTR, you're flying out of your backyard, not hauling down an hour down the interstate. Take into account, what about the possibility of Ubering to the airport as opposed to paying for parking? That's the thing. FlyBTR.com is the website. Don't forget they have the daily flight to Reagan National, to our nation's capital, Reagan National, right in the heart of Washington, D.C. They've also got numerous other flights that can either get you where you're going or get you on your way to where you're going and connect out of them. For example, this morning, let's see, already left this morning. The flights to Dallas, Fort Worth, Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlotte, North Carolina are already in the air. Coming up about 45 minutes from right now will be the next flight to Dallas, Fort Worth, followed by a flight to Houston, followed by that daily flight to Washington, D.C. Get all the information at flybtr.com. Quick break, come back. LSU look like Dookie. We'll talk about it next. We're going to do this in two parts, by the way. However many you can find from the Weather Channel, from like Weather Channel style. And now you're local on the 8s. 616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. No, it is not time for the local on the 8s, but I thought it might be fun to start a new tradition around here. It's the first day of hurricane season that we're on the air. Obviously, hurricane season began yesterday. First day we're on the air. I want to take it back with the bumper music all day long, John. I want to take it back to when you tuned into the weather channel for weather.
Yeah.
Can we do that all morning long?
So nostalgic.
It is. It is.
So good.
It's a vibe.
It is.
It's an absolute vibe.
It really is. Love it.
So all morning long, you'll get the local on the 8s music all morning long. LSU baseball was looking great until last night. In the Baton Rouge Regional, they hosted Little Rock on Friday, beat them 7-0 in BD. Turned back around the next day, beat Dallas Baptist 12-0 in BD. Boy, that was a whooping too. And they come out last night and just could not hit junior varsity pitching. They lose 4-10 or 10-4. Did the Tigers last night. It's been a rough regional for Jared Jones. Look, we've been seeing Bears all over Baton Rouge. Only place you're not seeing the Bear, Alec Box Stadium. He's 1 for 15 on the regional. Got a hit last night. He went 1 for 5, scored a run. Night before that, when we won 12-0, 0 for 5. Night before that, 0 for 5. So as LSU looks to regroup for today, and we'll get into a little bit more of that in a second, or in the next segment, but as LSU looks to regroup for today, Bear needs to step up a good bit. Yeah, last night for the Tigers, the first inning started off great, posting up 3 runs. Last night's problem was equal parts pitching and hitting. Jaden Newt, had a great first inning, and they kind of left the rails in the second. Jay Johnson goes to Chase Shores, who threw an inning. He gave up 4 earned runs. Cooper Williams was actually really good. Cooper threw 3 2/3. He gave up 3 hits. He didn't give up any runs. I mean, you got Jacob Myers come in after that. He gave up 4 earned runs, and Maverick Rizzi closed it out without giving up any runs. Not fair to say Jacob Myers gave up. Yeah, it is. It was equal parts pitching and hitting. The biggest problem with last night, and we'll get to the highlights in the next segment, John. The biggest problem with last night, though, was it just felt like there was no sense of urgency, no call to action. It just felt like, as a fan, you're watching the game thinking the inevitable is going to happen. Jared Jones is going to leave the yard, or one of any guys is just going to leave the yard at any time, and just really reset the pace to where Little Rock knows who Little Rock is. And that's not what happens in regionals. See Coastal Carolina years ago. See Stony Brook years ago. So they got to do it again tonight. We'll talk about that next. Here's the Fox Business Report. Really good look at traffic this morning, or I should say really traffic is looking good this morning. I-12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. You're going to find a little bit of congestion right after you hop on at Range. You're going to find a little more congestion in between, say, Sherwood and Airline. But, I mean, this is really, really light for this time of morning. I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish is looking great. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish also looking good this morning. I-110 is smooth sailing. Both bridges are looking good. Hopping off your surface streets, hopping off the interstates onto your surface streets, I've got 0 accidents nor incidents to report right now. The traffic incident page is clear. We're looking good. That's your look at traffic from the Shawbell Star Traffic Center. Oh. 624. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Yes, we are in hurricane season. Yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Actually, a couple different times during the show today, as the season officially kicked off yesterday. And, well, along with the hurricane season comes the frenzy that is those who post up on social media that want to declare want to be the first out the blocks. We'll get to that. Back to LSU baseball right now. While yesterday was rough going, I mean, losing 10-4 to a team with a losing record, it stings. Taking it back to Saturday was pretty great. If you go back to Saturday's game, you saw a couple things. First and foremost, the performance of Chris Stanfield on Saturday. He went 3 for 4 on Saturday and hit his first home run of the season. And where this highlight's going to pick up, we're going to play back the audio of the home run. When you go an entire season without hitting a home run and you come up to bat in the postseason, nobody is expecting you to leave the yard. Like, nobody is expecting you to leave the yard. So I was producing the game Saturday night, and as Stanfield's standing there in the box, in the batter's box, Doug Thompson is doing his level best to explain to a listener who emailed him or texted him or whatever on how to sync up the audio with for the LSU Sports broadcast with the video so you can watch the Tigers on TV. Yeah, it's an LSU tradition. Turn down the sound on your TV, turn up LSU Sports Radio. So Doug is trying to explain, and the home run just hits everybody by surprise. Let's give it a listen.
Right, wait for the TV to catch up, and then voila, just like that, this one's clicked on.
Stanfield drives it deep, and Stanfield puts it into the diamond deck. Chris Stanfield with his first home run of the season. And the Tigers make it 3-0. Opposite field for Stanny.
Oh, it's hammered. How about an Oppo taco for your first dinger of the year, Chris Stanfield? I'm thinking maybe he's just going to take another pitch up 2-0. Solo homer for the 9-hole hitter for the Tigers.
It's so good. So if you're Doug Thompson, you got a guy up to bat who has not hit a home run all season long. He's got a 2-0 count, and likely going to take another pitch. But no, Chris Stanfield had other plans. Leaves the yard, opposite field, leaves the yard. Stanfield had a great game on Saturday. Just midway through baseball announcers, there's a lot of time that they have to fill, and to be informative and entertaining through all the downtimes, and a guy with no home runs would be considered downtime. No offense to Chris Stanfield, but a guy with no home runs would be considered downtime. So he caught Doug by surprise. What caught nobody by surprise was the amazing performance of Cade Anderson on Saturday night. Anderson comes out, 7 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits on the night, did have 2 walks, which is very un-Cade Anderson of him, but did have 11 strikeouts. Here's how the last one sounded.
Tryon takes his lead off at first, 2 down and a 1-2 count. Anderson fires, swing and a miss. Punch out number 11. 96 mile an hour fuzz coming at Burkholm.
So yeah, LSU wins that one 12-0, and then proceeds to do what they did last night. Now, that means because of last night's game that LSU will have to play again. We'll tell you play again this evening. We'll tell you about that in just a quick minute. Do need to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. What are you getting at Vex European? You're getting the most out of your European vehicle. I actually went by on Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday? It was Thursday. Got to hang out with the team a little bit, but it was only a little bit because you're in and out of there in really, really good time. Actually, I posted up a video over on my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok of I wanted to go back, sneak in the back, and see some of the exotic vehicles. They had a couple of Porsches back there. I did not get to see any Ferraris or anything like that, but what I did see was a full shop, and they keep it moving. They keep it moving, and they do a phenomenal job. If you drive a European vehicle, you want the most performance out of your car. You also want the longevity out of your car. That's why you should visit vexeuropean.com. V as in Vinny, vexeuropean.com. All right, winner take all contest with Little Rock is tonight. They're going at this after 2 days after they shut out the Trojans in the opening game of the Baton Rouge Regional. Coach Jay Johnson credits Little Rock after, not just beating LSU yesterday, but beating Dallas Baptist and beating Rhode Island along the way as well.
Great job by Little Rock today, winning 2 games against 2 great teams, and you got to tip your hat to them. They took a lot of good at-bats throughout the day, watched the entire first game as it was transpiring, and complete performance by them.
Now, LSU had a lot of problems with pitching. We were talking about that in our last segment. A lot of those problems had to do with control, and if you walk batters, you run into problems.
Credit them. They made some big pitches with runners on base, and we gave them a lot of free bases, and then they cashed in. Took some really good at-bats with runners on base, and so they're a hot team. They've been playing well for the past 2 weeks, and you give a team that's playing well more opportunities, and you put yourself in a tough spot.
So one of the bigger questions for tonight is going to be who's on the bump, who's still available pitching-wise. Jaden Newt threw 50 pitches last night. Johnson says he might need to be ready for today's game.
He had a great first inning and not a very good second inning. And so it's all hands on deck. So he's got to recover well. And if we need him to get an out tomorrow or 2, then he's got to be ready to do that.
Cowan and Evans are available, so I wouldn't look too much farther past that. Here's news. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. Hey, the hurricane cuts from 755. I'm gonna go ahead and use them here. We'll figure out what else to do with 755. Hey, it's time to get a look at your forecast. For that, we turn to we call her EKC. It's WBRZ meteorologist Emma Kate Cowan. .637 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is the first day of hurricane season that we're broadcasting on. Hurricane season, of course, got underway yesterday, so we're gonna have some Weather Channel vibes on the bumper music all morning long. Bring back the old local on the 8s. It was a good time before the Weather Channel decided everything was extreme. When you just have that basic graphic telling you what was going on in your neck of the woods. Your neck of the woods. So it is hurricane season, and a couple things to remember here. The NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, is calling for an above average season. That we already knew. Your meteorologists that you see on TV are going to shoot you straight. They are not going to be 100% accurate, but they're going to be more accurate than you're ever going to give them credit for. These are facts. That's not even an opinion. That's a fact. As Jay Grimes put it, and he's not taking credit for this, but as he put it, your social meteorologists are here for clicks. They're here. They get no clout unless you click on what they're saying and share what they're saying. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's start off with the news you just heard from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. Above average season, more storms and hurricanes than usual. LSU public health climatologist Barry Keim says warmer sea surface temperature is one factor indicating an above average season.
And then the West African monsoon is expected to be a little bit more active than normal. And that's where these thunderstorms form to send these seeds or tropical waves out into the Atlantic, which ultimately can form into a hurricane.
The warmer than normal sea surface temperatures we've heard for the last few years are supposed to contribute to more storms. And maybe contributing to those pop-up storms that actually start in the Caribbean and make their way due north. Curious to see what's going to play if we see more storms like they traditionally used to originate off the African coast, especially if they do that earlier. Because like late August, early September, we get into that stretch of the hurricane season where it feels like every day there's something else churning out that has the potential to become a storm. Most of them don't, but they have the potential. The storms in the Caribbean that head due north, they give us little warning time. I mean, a couple days, less warning time than an African storm. And they're just right up on us. 13 to 19 name storms is the call for NOAA. That's what they're saying. 6 to 10 hurricanes, 3 to 5 major hurricanes.
Now, once these storms form, it's anybody's guess where they go. So there's no telling really right now whether we're going to see more of an East Coast kind of a season or more of a Gulf Coast kind of a season.
Another part of this that I don't think really has entered the equation, and we've talked about this with Jake Grimes, we talked about it with Josh Eaches, we talked about it with a number of different people. The greater technology we have, the more dialed in we are on storms that are named. You know, we've talked about this a lot. It's Kevin Ford. Kevin Ford from Let's Go Fishing. He's our go-to when it comes storm time. When we go into storm coverage, we call on Kevin. Why? He makes his living in the Gulf of Mexico. He's going to know a thing or two, and he's going to know the people that know a thing or two as well. So, but we've talked about this before. The greater our technology, it's impossible for a storm to develop and not be literally on our radar. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, that wasn't exactly the case. So 13 to 19 named storms is going to seem like it's above average, because that average includes a huge chunk of years that may or may not have gotten everything counted up. The storms that form out in the Atlantic, stay out in the Atlantic, die out in the Atlantic, bother nobody. Fish storms. Do we know that we always had those in the mix? Back to Barry Keim. He says, with conditions ripe for significant storm activity, early and thorough preparation is essential for safety throughout the 2025 hurricane season.
It's likely to be above normal, near normal to above normal. And again, all it takes is one hurricane to ruin your whole season. So just be prepared.
And that part on the back end is everything. You can have 13 to 19. You can have 19 named storms. You can have 10 hurricanes. You can have 5 major hurricanes. If none of them hit you, it wasn't a big season. Conversely, on the lower end, you can have 13 named storms, 6 hurricanes, 3 major. If one of them hits you, major or not, your evaluation of that hurricane season changes greatly. Now, when it talks about preparation, I always recommend staying local. Check in with Dr. Josh Eaches at WBRZ and McCade Cowan, the whole team at WBRZ. That's who we're partnered with. If you're over there, if you're a WAFB viewer, no hate there. Caparata does an awesome job. And his predecessor, Jay Grimes, in his new role, also doing a great job. Where I would not turn during hurricane season, 2 places. Number 1, the Weather Channel. And the reason for that is the Weather Channel is a hype train at this point. And you know what else is a hype train? Social media. My wife asked me last night if I'd seen the post about there being a hurricane in the first week of June. I was like, no, I haven't. And then sure enough, as I'm prepping for this hour this morning, I opened up Facebook messages and had, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 people hit me up. Not a huge number, but enough. Hit me up saying there's no way this happens, right? Or no, what was my favorite one here? If you're not leading with this, you're not doing your job. Okay. So there's an extreme meteorologist on Facebook who says, all caps, hurricane in the Gulf, June 12th, exclamation point, question mark. I've been trying to ignore the recent GFS model showing a tropical cyclone in the Gulf on June 12th, since this model has been printing hurricanes in the long range for years. However, it has been right on a few of these in recent years. Listen to that. It's been right on a few in recent years. A storm like this could certainly impede moisture transport to the Great Plains and Midwest, which impacts severe weather season, blah, 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 blah. If this tropical cyclone materializes, it should be a weaker one. We will continue to monitor the long-range severe weather, blah, 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 blah. Thank you, extreme meteorologists, for continuing to monitor. But the point of this is, there's a picture underneath this post, of a giant purple system covering the entirety of the Gulf of Mexico. And it's a very ominous picture. And this extreme meteorologist, along with a few others, making it seem like we are due for, or we are in line for, a ginormous storm within the first 2 weeks of the hurricane season. Meanwhile, over on Jay Grimes' Facebook page, our state's meteorologist, he has and I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but he has a very informative post breaking down the GFS runs from different times, talking about don't believe one snapshot in time. And he shows side by side two of the screenshots from his GFS runs that look nothing like what Homeboy Extreme Meteorologist posted. And he leaves us with the warning, beware of the social meteorologist. Oh, that's such a great term. Such a great term. Social meteorologist. They're here for the clicks. They're here for the clout. Reality be damned. It's 6:47. Quick break. We'll check traffic. We'll check your money now. We'll continue next. Matt says it doesn't help LSU that there's never been a true third starter and that anyone after the first two can't throw strikes. They've never had a true third starter, though. Like, not just this year, any year. The typical scenario in a baseball tournament is you start running out of pitching late in the bracket, which results in high scoring. Witness Little Rock's 10 runs. LSU with 4 runs is anemic. Yes, I believe the hitting's the bigger problem than the pitching. Absolutely. That being said, I don't disagree with how Jay Johnson has handled this. Because you run Jaden Newt out there, and he has a great first inning. you don't know that he's going to lose it in the second. There's no way to know he's going to lose it in the second. You run Chase Shores out there, you kind of know what you're getting because Shores has had control problems all season long. But what else you're getting is a 6'8" dude that throws 100 miles an hour at a team that won the Ohio Valley Conference tournament with a losing record. You should be able to intimidate them a little bit. When Chase Shores goes out there, you ought to be able to. What should be going through the minds of the Little Rock players is, God, it's another one. Like, how many dudes do they have to throw mid-upper 90s? How many dudes do they have that would be power forwards if they played basketball? That's why I fear a 4 seed a lot more than I do a 2. A 2 seed knows who they are. A 4 seed's dumb enough to believe they can win. .652 Talk 103 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Halliday and rolling right along. All right, John, you went back. Keep that one going. You went back because I could tell the quality of the audio is just awful.
Like, at first I wasn't going to do it. And then I'm like, you know what? It just sounds so
it's
old.
So vintage,
It's so vintage.
So you held a tape recorder up to your television to catch your local on the 8s on that one. As hurricane season is now here, we're dialing back the clock to get that vibe of the local on the 8s for our bumpers this morning. Is Facebook able to hear these?
Oh, if you want them through Facebook, let's go. Let's go.
What's going to happen. The broadcast, it's going to get muted.
Yeah.
I tell you what, let's do third hour.
Okay. We'll just go all out.
Yeah.
Let them hear it.
Yep. All right. Third hour, we'll do it. But I want to go back to some of the ones that I had sent you.
Yep.
So good. By the way, speaking of hurricane season, shout out to Galen. Let's talk about some of the as Jay Grimes put it, although he's not claiming credit for the phrase, the social meteorologists. Galen says, my highly complex coin toss hurricane model has been accurate on occasion, too. Yeah. On occasion, yes. Yes, a broken clock is right twice a day. Absolutely. We just have this want to not trust people who put their hearts, souls, and lives and brains into a particular field. Even when they're right more often than not. A lot of conversation going on over on our Facebook Live. Actually, a lot of conversation about LSU baseball going on our Facebook Live, and I'm here for it, by the way. There will be a do-or-die game tonight, 8 p.m. on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. If you wanted to get in on the chat over on our Facebook Live feed, please do. Please do. Having a lot of fun with it as well. And it's all courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urchin Care. Our Facebook Live feed every day on Talk 107.3's Facebook page is brought to you by Lake Urchin Care, as is our YouTube feed. Hey, before we dive into the legislative session, want to remind you about the folks over at PF Chang's. Yeah, it's a little early to make your lunch plans yet, but isn't your day going to be so much more productive if you already know what you're doing for lunch? PF Chang's has got you covered. Lunch special starting at $13.99. If you've not tried the sesame beef, could not recommend it more. It's something special. When you do crispy beef the right way, it's special. PF Chang's does. The black pepper chicken, literal chef's kiss. And you're getting higher quality ingredients, so you're not getting that greasy, rundown Chinese food that just sits in your gut. You're getting higher quality ingredients, bringing out all the flavors and not knocking out your afternoon. And, by the way, lunch special starting at $13.99. Oh, and let me add this to the mix as well. If you did want to knock out the rest of your afternoon, happy hour specials every single day. You don't know where to find them. You do know where to find them. Corporate Boulevard, Town Center. Look for the giant golden horse. It's PF Chang's. We have less than 2 weeks to go in the legislative session. 10 days, actually. There's a number of items that's still in the mix right now. One of those is the budget. Now, do not be alarmed. The budget passed the Finance Committee, Senate Finance Committee over the weekend. Senate President Cameron Henry says they're making good progress. You heard a little bit about this in news at the bottom of the hour. They're making good progress, and it helps that the Revenue Estimating Conference did recognize additional dollars to spend. Henry says some of that additional revenue is going to go to roads and bridges.
Specifically bridges in rural Louisiana. We have an enormous amount of bridges out in those areas that are really starting to have a significant impact on economic development up there.
A bill to reorganize the State Department of Transportation still needs final legislative approval before the session ends. This is a bill that Governor Jeff Landry supports. In fact, he was on with us last Thursday, and I was asking him about some of the bigger wins of the session that didn't have to do with insurance. He mentioned DOTD right from the start. Henry says this bill is needed because DOTD is having a hard time spending money efficiently to improve our state's roads.
And it's not that DOTD is doing anything wrong. What we've found is the policies they have in place, the timelines they give people to work, just don't work anymore.
Now, as far as the insurance portion of the legislative session, a lot of that's done with. The as LRN called it at the bottom of the hour, the heavy lifting is pretty much done. Governor Landry does still want an enhanced medical transparency bill approved. This would give judges and juries a lot more clarity on the dollar figure for medical bills from a car crash. A Senate bill to make the insurance commissioner an appointed position rather than an elected position did not pass, thank goodness. Henry says this is an idea the legislature might have to revisit in the future.
Give Commissioner Temple maybe this term and next term to ability to lower rates, and if not, maybe we just have to pick a different direction.
There's a part of me that just wants to just blow the whole thing up, though, right? Yes, the insurance commissioner is an elected position. If it were an appointed position, can we judge the effectiveness of the governor? Like, if the insurance commissioner was appointed by the governor, could we judge the effectiveness of the governor by our insurance rates? I know this is a bill that Jeff Landry kind of touted a little bit. He backed off of it a little bit, too. But man, the insurance commissioner being the position that it is, I think we finally found the right guy. After years and years and years of doing this the wrong way. No offense to Jim Donnellan, but he was reelected 3 times on the campaign platform of I'm not in jail. And if you could be reelected 3 times on the campaign platform of I'm not in jail, that tells me your predecessors were doing it wrong. So we had all the way up until Jim Donnellan to get it wrong. Jim Donnellan kind of held down the fort, but we didn't see much change on anything. And now we finally got a guy who, A, has the insurance background on his resume, B, has the fire in his belly to get something done, and C, has the ears of the people who make the laws to help all of it come together. Really don't want to rush to judgment on this. Wait, Cameron Henry said a term or two. That's fine. But I really don't want to rush to judgment on the whole post, to be sure. You know what? I'm looking at the clock. We got to stay on time here. Let's go ahead and break for news, traffic, weather, top of the hour. Hour 2's next at 7 o'clock. Troy says, is there something to Jay Johnson's strategy of using so many pinch hitters, guys who often see more offbeat weekday pitching? If it is, it didn't work very well. Jay Johnson overly relies on the lefty-righty matchup. Overly. Like way too much. Ooh, snappy noodles. Excuse me. Sorry about that, y'all. Why are all the recent LSU games at 8 p.m.? That's late for me. Yeah, me too, Galen. I wish I had an answer to that. It might have something to do with making sure they're on TV, although tonight, I don't know how many more games can compete with us. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm tired. Oregon State and USC play earlier. Yeah. What the hell's that about? I really hope Medical Monday shows up. My email said, your doc's ready to go for 9:14 a.m. I emailed back saying, the segment's 2 hours before that. So hopefully we'll be good to go. Otherwise, I don't have shit to vamp on because there's nothing going on right now. Uh-huh. Yeah. This should be me talking. Oh, you know what? We'll go back to the Jeff Landry cuts from the other day, if so. I don't like doing the rants, but I can rant if I need to. And then mix that in with a little LSU baseball, and we should be able to make for an entertaining segment. You ever print an email and then realize later it was connected to an email chain?
Oh,
That's like 100 pages long.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll guarantee a ream of paper this morning. 7:05 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We are starting off your Monday morning at, well, we're still at 69 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. How about that? Busy hour this hour. We have Medical Monday slated for our next segment. We've also got a conversation with the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry coming up later on this hour. Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson is going to join us. We're going to talk education bills. I also want to touch on the DOTD stuff. I know as the bill is in the works right now, it's hard to completely break it down because it's being amended like every time it's brought up. So we'll talk with Mary Beth at 7:35. let's see. I know those are two of the segments coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. I can't begin to get ready for this soon enough. In the 8 o'clock hour, Moon Griffon's hopping on board at 8:15. Governor Jeff Landry said on this show last week, he thinks enough got done on the insurance front to actually see a change in our premiums. I think that qualifies as more than a step in the right direction. We'll get Moon's take on that at 8:15, and then 8:35 we'll talk to Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company. Right now, though, top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
The Bear saga is over for now. Friday, the Bear made it to Broadmoor. This is after a couple sightings up around Central. The Bear made it to Broadmoor. He posted up in a tree outside of Broadmoor United Methodist Church, likely seeking religious asylum. The area was placed on lockdown as officials tried to wait him out. Around 8:30 Friday night, wildlife and fisheries agents sedated the bear, relocated him to a wildlife management area. John, I got to feel bad for that bear, man.
Right.
I mean, because he gets sedated and relocated. That bear's going to wake up someplace that he didn't know. I mean, you ever woke up when you didn't know where you were?
I mean,
it's just I'll be the first to admit it. This has happened to me before. I've woken up someplace where I didn't know where I was.
Okay.
At some point in my lifetime, this has happened. So if experience is any indicator, I think the Bear's going to head to Louis next.
Number 4.
I went a long way for that punchline. Hit number 4.
I already did.
Number 4.
There it is.
There we go.
Janet Simmons, President and CEO of Hope Ministries, is moving over to a new role. Janet took over yesterday as the interim superintendent for Breck, as Corey Wilson, who was stepping aside at the end of this year, has decided just to go ahead and move on now.
Number 3.
The Senate Finance Committee advanced the state's budget bills yesterday, restoring $30 million in high-dose tutoring for K-12 students and maintaining the $199 million appropriated for teacher stipends. This is partially due to the Revenue Estimating Conference recognizing an additional $60 million to state general funds. The budget next heads to the Senate floor for consideration before being returned to the House for concurrence.
Number 2.
A couple of shootings to report on. BRPD says one of their officers shot a suspect after he pointed at an AK-style weapon at the officer Sunday morning around 2:20 a.m. on Conrad Drive. Officers attempted to stop a vehicle after watching it run a red light at Winburn and Foster Drive. Multiple armed suspects exited that vehicle, began running away. When the officer ran after the suspects, the driver pulled out that AK-style weapon. Officer popped him twice. The suspect was transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, Sunday afternoon, there was a shooting. A man was shot along Valley Street. BRPD said they're investigating the shooting, which happened shortly before 6 p.m. along Valley near Wells. The man was taken to a hospital also with non-life-threatening injuries.
Number 1.
It's for all the marbles tonight at Alec Box Stadium. 8 p.m. is your first pitch. 7:30 will be your pregame show. LSU taking on Little Rock. One more time. After beating Little Rock 7-0 in the opening round of the Baton Rouge Regional Tournament, and then falling last night 10-4, LSU and Little Rock will square off one more time. No announcement on starting pitching just yet for LSU. You won't get that till about 90 minutes before first pitch. I will say that Zach Cowan and Kason Evans are both ready to roll. What's trending, John?
Well, an attack on a pro-Israel rally in Boulder, Colorado is being called an act of terror by the FBI, who does have a suspect in custody.
Muhammad Solomon?
Yep. 45-year-old male who was here illegally, apparently.
You said
permit.
Yeah, here legally.
Yeah.
All these, everything else that we could possibly say is going to be bearing the lead. The lead? Homemade flamethrower.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how strong of a flamethrower we're taking. Like, okay, remember when deodorant used to come in the aerosol cans?
Yes.
Yeah. You ever put a lighter in front of a can of Right Guard? I know. I'm rednecking it right now.
Right.
I'm taking you back to those North Shore roots right now.
But
you put a lighter in front of you can make a homemade flamethrower like that.
Oh, for sure.
I wonder, like,
this is like next level.
Yeah.
I've seen some photos. I'm like, oh, this is, man, come on. What are you doing, man?
So when I read the story last night, they were mentioning Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
As details have come out from the FBI, this has gotten much worse.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it was enough to set someone ablaze. I believe one woman was set ablaze.
Rolling around on the ground trying to
Yeah.
put out the fire that was on her. Two other and everybody who was injured was like a senior citizen.
They were.
Two other people got burnt on the calves, like
Yeah.
on their legs and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to make light
No.
of the scenario, because a lot of people were hurt.
Yeah,
But homemade flamethrower conjures up some images.
yeah, and attacking the elderly at that. What a coward.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, 59-0 LSU Shreveport did the impossible in winning the NAIA title. They have capped off the first ever undefeated college baseball season.
That is pretty incredible.
Yes.
Wow. As the story was unfolding over the last 2 weeks, I went out of my way to not talk about this because, as a guy who played baseball growing up, you don't talk to the pitcher in the middle of a no-hitter, right? Yeah, the last thing I would want to do is bring up at some point along the way, well, they're 58-0, and then they lose the championship game, right?
Yep.
No, I didn't want to do that. So wanted the streak to conclude. 59-0 is where the story ends with an NAIA championship. Shout out to the Pilots. That's awesome for LSUS. Just cannot get enough credit for doing something so ridiculously next level.
Yeah, this is amazing. Hey, Brian, we've got a back-to-back shark alligator rules this morning. First, deputies in Livingston Parish caught a 9-foot alligator on Bear Island Road Saturday. Then Sunday, officers in St. Gabriel removed the gator from a residence as well.
It is that time of year.
Yeah.
Not just because things are heating up out there, but it's that time of year all over South Louisiana. And if I'm not mistaken, it's mating season. It's mating season for alligators.
It's rough, man.
So, yeah, you go from the cold weather into the spring months, and they start to, as reptiles, they start to come back to life a little bit. And mating occurs throughout May and June. So, this is when alligators start, heading out. You're gonna find them in places you wouldn't normally find them. You're gonna find them on your back porch.
That's it.
Be on the lookout for the Ring doorbell footage.
Yeah.
There's something
Terrifying,
unbelievably terrifying when an alligator gets up on its hind legs.
Yeah. You ever seen one climb a fence?
I've seen one climb a fence.
That's
next
safe
level.
until they start climbing the fence.
That is next level right there.
Oh man. Yeah, that's insane though. Yeah, two
of them
over the
removed.
weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all the story. Read all the media coverage of it.
Yeah.
It's all full of puns. It's all lighthearted.
Of course.
It's all they're trying to make it sound like, this is just look how cute that 9-foot alligator is. Okay, fine. Where's Sparky?
Right.
Where's the pet dog at?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's not cute anymore.
No.
714 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We are due up for Medical Monday in just a little bit. We got to take a quick break. We come back from that break. We're slated to have Medical Monday coming your way, and I believe that might be them calling right now. Please hold. Before we get you to break, though, got to remind you about the folks at the coming up 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from it's less than 2 weeks from now. I'll be on location taking the show on the road for the Louisiana Department of Education's Teacher Leadership Summit. I love doing this. We did this last year. It was amazing. Looking forward to doing it again. As the school year ends, you would think teachers are ready to clock out. You would think they'd be ready to just completely defuse. No, they're looking forward towards the next school year and how to capitalize on the success that we've already built. This is a project of Dr. Cade Brumley, and it is amazing. This is why we're moving up the charts on the educational front. So, from the Ernest Morial Convention Center down in New Orleans, June 11th and 12th, we'll be doing the show, taking a deep dive into the world of education with the Louisiana State Department of Education Teacher Leadership Summit. Quick break. Coming back, we got Medical Monday next. All right, good. Okay, I was nervous. I was super duper nervous because I didn't see that the email said 9:15 until the weekend, and I'm like, oh, please check your email over the weekends.
All good. Yep. I got him to call back on the hotline just to make sure it's a more clear line.
By the way, Our Lady of the Lake has been crushing it with the guests lately.
Yeah.
We haven't had a bad one in and today's topic is I don't want to jinx it, but it's pretty surefire.
All right.
Oh,
That's what I'm talking about.
Will Landry, Senior Vice President, Chief Information Officer. Okay. My problem is I just want to let it play.
So good.
717 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. You know how we do at this time on a Monday. Time for Medical Monday. And with that, we welcome in the Senior Vice President, Chief Information Officer for Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady. Will Landry is on the hotline. Will, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thank you for having me this morning.
No, glad to have you on here, and I'm super hyped about the topic as well, because we're all trying to learn. We're all trying to adapt when it comes to bringing AI into our worlds, both professionally and personally, and Franciscan Missionaries is not shying away. So let's talk about it. How is artificial intelligence currently being used in healthcare, and why is this so transformative?
I think the primary use cases right now are mostly summaries and getting information faster, right? For healthcare, it's critical when it comes to diagnosis or just treatments, or when it's traumas or emergencies. Being able to access information faster, have information summarized faster. We're using it a lot for knowledge augmentation and to be able to treat faster. Some of the stuff that we're doing in the sepsis area has a lot to do with some AI algorithms, and we're really excited about how we're able to improve our quality and to be able to treat patients quicker.
Wait, dive in on that. Dive that with the treatment of sepsis and you said something augmentation.
Yeah, so knowledge augmentation.
Knowledge.
Right? So
yeah, what is that?
yeah, so we're basically giving tools to our team members, to our people, to our patients to be able to diagnose faster, to be able to access information faster through summaries and through knowledge gathering. That's what I refer to as like knowledge augmentation.
Okay, very cool stuff. We got Will Landry with us. He is the chief. Oh, sorry, I dropped my paper. He is the Chief Information Officer and Senior Vice President for Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady. We're talking about AI in your health world. Okay, from your perspective as the CIO, what excites you most about the intersection of AI and healthcare?
I think from healthcare, healthcare is all about people, right? We are people treating people, and being able to, as I mentioned earlier, just being able to do that faster, to be able to do it to do higher quality treatments, higher quality outcomes. That's what really excites me. Is there's a lot of barriers and frustrations in the healthcare industry. We've all felt it. I felt it. I'm sure you felt it, Brian. I know all of our family members and friends, and I think that when we see health AI coming in, we're already seeing some benefits, but I think over the next few years, we're going to see significant benefits where it is helping us bring down some of those, especially digital barriers, but also helping a lot of things with scheduling and access as well.
Well, dive a little bit deeper into those digital barriers and how y'all are improving digital access for patients. Because this is not just what goes on within the office. This goes all the way back to scheduling.
Absolutely. It has to do with, we have in our clinics, we have a lot of like no-shows, and being able to predict that, being able to schedule better, to schedule more efficiently with certain types of visits. It is, and I think we've done a great job in the last 5 years of being able to improve this, but it's imperative for us to be able to see more people, because that's our patients want to be able to access us when it's convenient for them, and to be able to have more times and more slots available. And we're definitely using predictive models to be able to improve that scheduling for all of our patients and our providers.
Give me some real world examples of how this is playing out.
So, I will say from an AI perspective, we're definitely using the tools to be able to be able to leverage slots better when it comes in the clinic's perspective, but also too, we're trying to improve the visit. We're using some AI tools within the clinics. Those products called ambient listening, where it's a more fluid conversation between the doctor or the clinician and the patient, where the provider is engaged in a conversation. We have tools that are listening to the conversation and documenting, so that the provider doesn't have his back to the patient typing or using a microphone to dictate the visit. It's a real conversation, and we found that has improved our visits from a documentation standpoint. It's given our providers more time. It's reduced some of their documentation burden, so they have more time than dedicated to our patients to be able to see them and have more engaging conversation in person.
And with ambient listening, ambient listening removes the possibility of the doctor missing something. And I'm not knocking a doctor, but if you're listing out a number of symptoms and something really, really grabs the doctor's attention, so they kind of miss the next thing said, ambient listening removes any possibility for error in that.
Well, there's still always a little bit of a possibility for error, but yes, it dramatically improves it. And I think we've been using it in the emergency room space as well. And it's been a huge game changer there, because our providers, the physicians, have basically said, I can like focus on the person and like the emotions and what they're going on, and not like trying to specifically remember every single detail that they gave me. And it allows them to focus on what they want, what they're treating and what they're trying to diagnose, and not have to go back and 5-10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, to go back and put that documentation in the system. Same with the clinic setting, where we're getting documentation turned around significantly faster than we have in the past. And like you mentioned, just we've had physicians that were documenting later that night or in their personal time after hours. And when they're able to document real time, that documentation we find is a lot better. And then also just the patient engagement and the feedback that we've gotten from patients has been really exceptional, that they're getting like an engaged conversation with the physician versus that provider, typing on a computer or focused on inputting their documentation.
This is Medical Monday, of course, presented by Our Lady of the Lake. And this week we're talking about AI in your healthcare. Will Landry is the Senior Vice President, Chief Information Officer for Franciscan Missionaries. Will, talk to me about Epic. What's Epic? And y'all are pretty involved with it, so break down what that is.
Absolutely. Epic is our main, for other industries, it's our main business system of record, but it is our electronic medical record, right? It is where we keep all of our clinical and medical documentation across all of our ministries, across all of our, inpatient and outpatient, and, all of our ancillary services. So anytime you come to, a patient comes to any of our sites, that's where we document on. And there's also, so in MyChart, which I'm sure most of our listeners are familiar with MyChart, is the patient-facing side of that. It's the app where you can access all of that documentation. But Epic is the back end, or the the business side of the system that we use for clinical documentation.
All right, so now we got to get into the hard part, and that is, it's great that this technology is evolving so rapidly. It's great that things are becoming more and more convenient for not just the doctors, but the patients as well. But at the same time, though, y'all are required to protect privacy, right? So
Absolutely.
with this moving so quickly, how do you ensure patient data privacy and making sure that all these technologies are being used ethically?
It's a great question, and something that so I'll answer that in two parts. So the privacy or the security piece, we made the decision a couple years ago when we really started looking at these generative AI tools that anything that we use, anything that we test, has to fall in line with all our existing compliance and privacy policies that we have in place. So any of the tools that we're currently using, any of the large language models that we're using for those AI tools, we are in control of that data. We store it within our Microsoft or Google or AWS, or even within our Epic space. So we're in control of that security and privacy. So we're not using any tools that are out there outside of any of our existing agreements or contracts. So that is something that has been core and critical for us, that we store that data just like we do any other medical data that we currently have, or any other patient private data that we have. From an ethics standpoint, as a Catholic organization, that is an interesting question, and we actually have an AI ethics work group that we've started off, and we're talking about, it's really the question of should or shouldn't we do some of these things, and it all revolves around human dignity. And I will say, to date, everything we've done has been, knowledge or summarization of data to assist our team members, our clinicians and physicians in the treatment of care. Right? We're not making any clinical decisions. We're not making any operational decisions with any of our AI tools now. But there are things that are coming in the horizon or in the future that we are going to be looking at. And so that's what that AI ethics work group that we're using. So where we debate that from an ethics perspective and whether or not we should be using it. And some of those basic examples would be like, AI chatbots where we do not have a team member involved at all. We're not doing any of that right now, but these are things that that we're talking about doing in the future, and whether or not we should be doing them.
We've got about 2 minutes left with Will Landry, the Senior Vice President, Chief Information Officer for Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady. As part of Medical Monday, we're talking about implementation of AI into your healthcare. So let's look forward a little bit. What are the next 5 to 10 years going to look like when it comes to AI in healthcare?
I think we kind of alluded to some of that, but I think we're just the tools and the information is just going to continue to get better. And I think that, as a technologist, one of my things, especially in healthcare, the tools that we use, the documentation that we require, a lot of the technology is a hindrance to patient care. It's kind of in the way of, physician and patient, or clinician and patient. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It is because you want the documentation, you want all that to be there, but it is an extra step. And I do believe with ambient listening and some of these other summarization technologies, that you're going to see where technology is kind of behind the scenes, and it's just there, but you're not engaging with it, and that so that our clinicians and physicians can be entirely focused on the patient, and so that we can, and that's going to drive better outcomes and better quality outcomes in the markets that we serve.
We've got 1 minute left. Is there something in particular you're most excited about?
I'm most excited about how, like I mentioned earlier, with how it's going to change, how technology is going to change and be removed from the space. I think that, or it's going to be transparent to the space.
Yeah.
Because like I said, as a technologist, I love technology, but also it pains me to see when it's like problematic or when it's in the way. And I'm really excited about the fact that we're going to be, we're moving to a space where the technology is going to be there, and it's going to be transparent, and it's going to be better for the clinician and the patient, but you won't know that it's there, and that's what really excites me.
I'm curious to see, and I'm just as we get out of here, I'm curious to see like how you maintain the bedside manner, how you maintain the humanity, the human touch that y'all bring to the table while adapting all these new technologies. It's good. It's going to be an exciting world to follow along the way. He's Will Landry with Franciscan Missionaries. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
Always. Yep. Here comes news. See? Nailing it. They've been friggin' nailing it. That was awesome. I have the most anti-Semitic joke. You wonder why people got hurt at this thing in Boulder, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the guy was yelling "Free Palestine."
Right.
Of course, you're going to attract Jews if you offer free anything.
Oh my goodness, man. Studio. Hi, good morning. Yes, ma'am. We'll have you up here in just a few minutes. All right. Thank you.
We're moving this state history up to 7:55. We got Mayor Ellis on.
Okay. No problem.
He's awesome. The mayor of Monroe.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah. Sweet.
Sparky, the alligator version of Pippet, the Jaws dog. See, I got a buddy of mine thinking he's going dark this morning, thinking he's gonna because I said where's Sparky, and so my dog growing up was Sparky. That was my dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, my buddy thinks he's going dark on me. He says, "Good morning. Is Sparky the alligator version of Pippet, the dog from Jaws? You want to go dark on me? I'm going dark right back." I said, "Well, it ain't the Kittner boy."
Oh man.
Not gonna let you perform some half-assed autopsy on a fish. Have that Kittner boy spill all over the docks. You know the best thing about Jaws?
What's that?
The mayor smoking in the hospital.
It's a different time, man. It's a different time.
It just
Different time indeed, huh? Jeez.
Mayor, was it Larry Vaughn? Oh, let me go drop this off. I need to wash it. Don't let Facebook fool you. There's no hurricanes headed this way yet. Here with your actual forecast is Emma K. Cowan. Okay. 737. Oh, that got good. Wasn't ready for that. 737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're starting off your hurricane season with a Weather Channel vibe with the bumper music this morning. Keeping it rolling right now. Time to dive back into the legislative session. Welcoming back to the show to talk a little education, talk a little DOTD, talk a little things that are going on that aren't insurance related. Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from LABI. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. All right. We got less than 2 weeks ago. I believe there's 10 days left in the legislative session at a max. Okay. We're going to map this out with a couple quick hitter questions.
Okay.
Number one.
I'm ready.
Okay. Do you think they go all the way up until the 12th or will they sign a die early?
I do not think, well, this is Mary Beth's opinion, Brian.
Sure.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen. I do not think they're going to sign a die early. I feel like historically we have gone down to the wire and we still have a lot of outstanding items to go. I mean, we've gotten through the bulk of the insurance legislation, but we still have a lot of priorities on the agenda. So my vote, we go up until the wire.
Okay. All right. I'm of the belief that the session will go as long as the budget goes. Once the budget,
you're right. Yeah.
Once the budget reaches concurrence, it's like that. And I know I make school references to the legislative session way too often, but once the budget's done, it's like exams are over in your senior year. Nothing else is going to matter. Sure, you're going to show up to turn in your technology, but you're not going to have anyone's attention. That's
true. No, look, we can only hope. I mean, hey, I would not be upset if they signed it out early. That's for sure. But we do have the DOTD rework package, which is just now in committee this week.
Yeah.
And so it's going to have to be on the floor next week. So a lot remains to be seen. But hey, I like your hopeful attitude here.
But is it okay? So I don't even know if it's hopeful though, because like you said, there's a lot of work that needs to get done. I would hate to see a DOTD revamp get punted on for a year just because everybody's thinking about having cocktails on the beach.
End of school, right? Kicking off summer, yeah.
Right.
So thankfully, I think as far as the DOTD reorg goes, I don't think we're going to end up in that situation, only because this is a huge priority for the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, as well as the Governor. I mean, this is the one thing this session that everyone is aligned on. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it'll get punted, but, hey, I don't want to be making predictions and then have to come on and, recount some of that. So we can only hope that everything gets done, and maybe on the cherry on top is sign die early.
How much have you been able to sift through what it looks like, what the DOTD reorg looks like? Because I know it's moving parts right now. It's moving pieces. So it's hard to pin down exact. And also with the budget in flux, it's hard to pin down exactly what it's going to look like.
Right. So thankfully, we expect that there will be some substantial amendments in committee on Wednesday. So for your audience, Brian, there are 4 DOTD reorg bills in this package. All 4 bills are being carried by Chairman Ryan Boriak, who's the chair of the House Transportation Committee. The main goal of the package is to streamline and reorganize DOTD to make it as efficient and streamlined as possible. Obviously, we have a $19 billion backlog with projects already on the books. And so we want to make it as easy as possible, kind of detangle a lot of things at DOTD. And if you want, I can kind of go over just high level each bill. But so HB 528 would restructure the department. It would replace the Office of Engineering with the Office of Project Delivery, and it would eliminate the Office of Planning. So again, trying to make sure that make it as efficient as possible. We talk a lot about, okay, well, the department just needs more money. And you can make that argument. That was actually in the BCG report that was released last fall. But if we don't have a good foundation, and if we don't have an efficient way of delivering projects, then what are we doing with that money, if that makes sense?
Yes.
So we also have House Bill 556, which would reinforce the transition from engineering focus to project management focus. Again, we want to focus on getting projects done. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to say it again, but we have a $19 billion backlog in projects.
No, you need to say that as many times as possible, Mary Beth, because we all need to be reminded constantly that our roads suck and we have a long way to go to get them better.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. The other important thing in HB 556 is it would prohibit employee costs from being funded through the Transportation Trust Fund. So the point of the Transportation Trust Fund is to complete projects and complete maintenance on projects and other things. Right now, we have the problem of the department pulling money from that fund in order to fund salaries and other employee costs. So we don't think that's a good idea, but we are a little concerned that might be amended out this week, but I'll keep you posted on that, Brian.
Okay.
And then one that we're really excited about is House Bill 640, which would create the Office of Louisiana Highway Construction.
Yes.
This is important because the state Department of Transportation handles state and federal projects. So they have a lot on their plate. This new office would have authority over non-federal aid highways in the highway system. So it would be able to privatize a lot of these projects that are ongoing on the books now and be able to approve other projects that are coming down the pike. So it's just an reallocation of resources. We think that anytime we can help privatize projects like this and get business involved, obviously we want to do that. And so again, Wednesday morning, the Senate Transportation Committee will meet to debate all of these bills. We expect a lively debate, but hope that they have an easy path forward.
And on top of those bills, there's a concurrent resolution scheduled for the same morning, same committee, that puts a lot on DOTD to take that look from within to really revamp as much as they can, get all their ducks in a row from inside.
Absolutely. And in a huge part, I'm glad you brought that up, a huge part of the package as a whole is to create the Office of Transformation within DOTD so that we have a point person to look at the web that is, the agency as a whole, who reports to who, what is not getting done, what could be done more efficiently. And that transformation czar, I guess you would call that person, is going to be in charge of that. So overall, I mean, we're extremely excited. It has flown through the process. And I was talking with Chairman Boriak, and we were saying, if you have 45 co-authors on the House side, that's a pretty strong show of support. So we're looking forward to that this week.
We've got Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry on with us. Okay, let's pivot over to education. The news coming out of the Revenue Estimating Conference was good news for teachers, for students, for high dosage tutoring, for Dr. Cade Brumley. We saw some money coming back, so some legislators didn't have to make tough decisions.
Right. No, it was an interesting day yesterday, and overall, fairly positive. We were disappointed with the cut to the Gator program. It has $50 million has been cut from the $90 million that was appropriated in the House. So that is disappointing, especially when we have over 40,000 students applying for that program. But on the positive side, the Senate did restore the $30 million for high dosage tutoring, which Lobby has been a champion of for years. And we do know that it works, and it's contributed to a lot of our growth in the education space. The other thing, Brian, that we were excited about is the CCAP funds, the Child Care Assistance Program funds, were not touched, which was good news. And then the other thing that we were really looking for and hoping to get an increase on was the MJ Foster program.
Yes.
We have we're huge supporters of that program. In the $10.5 million that was allocated last year ran out in 3 months. So we were hoping for the $24 million along with LCTCS and our friends at the Board of Regents, but unfortunately we didn't get that. But on the good side, we're staying positive here. We did get high dosage tutoring, and early childhood was not affected. So we're happy about that.
As you should be, because there's always a balance of short-term, long-term when it comes to fixing education. Gator Scholarship Program, short-term, but the high-dosage tutoring, early childhood, everything that we can, if we could set students off on the right path at the youngest possible age, the likelihood that they stay on that path is greater. So fixing things on the front end tends to help things on the back end, which, I want the Gator Scholarship Program as well to be fully funded. In fact, probably more so, because the funding that it was at wasn't quote unquote full. It was just where we were at. But that's for students right now. You know, am I making sense?
Right. No, you're making sense. And look, we have the program established now. It will be very small, but hopefully later on, maybe next session or the following, we can fully fund the program. So again, we're trying to look on the bright side. I think if you would ask Dr. Brumley, he's an extremely vocal supporter of high dosage tutoring, as well as some other programs. And so, I mean, you know, I'm very passionate about early ed investment, Brian. And so, we were very excited about that. So I think, you know, a lot remains to be seen. It wasn't necessarily a surprise on the Gator program, but definitely a little disappointing. Hopefully though, with MJ Foster, we can get that increase next year, because that program, I can't say enough good things about. And we actually had a bill to expand eligibility of that program as well. It was in committee last week. So overall, you know, we're pleased with most of the budget. So
and the last one here is the reinstatement of the stipend. While we all want to see it a full-time raise or you know, a long-term raise, they were able to get that done to where, you know, at least one more year we're covered.
Right. No. So overall, it was a good day yesterday. You know, I'm sure nobody was happy to come in on Sunday, but hey, we got to get it done. So,
right.
So overall education, we're looking pretty good. Hoping now just kind of pivoting to DOTD, and we have a couple other education priorities that we want to get across on the Senate. But yeah, overall we're rolling right along, as you like to say.
She is Mary. Yes, she is Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from LABI. We got a minute left. What are some of those priorities still left to clear?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, House Bill 558 by Representative Paula Davis expands eligibility to the MJ Foster program for a very select number of formerly incarcerated individuals. So it was amended in committee by Senator Blake Miguez. So it has the amount of offenses has kind of shrunk. So we have 2 offenses that would now be eligible: simple burglary and purse snatching. Hopefully a good conversation has been started around this issue. You know, we've talked a lot, Brian, on how expanding opportunities for those coming out of the justice system only helps public safety. It helps stop the revolving door of the justice system, but it also fills workforce needs. So we're very passionate about that issue, and that is going to be on the Senate floor, hopefully either this week or next. Well, it has to be next week at least, given that they sine die on Thursday. So that is probably our number one priority ed-wise. And then we have a couple of bills that we're working on, helping get across the finish line with the charters, specifically SB 71 by Franklin Foyle. That will be on the House floor this week. So that kind of gives you an ed snapshot, but the main thing, DOTD on Wednesday.
Looking forward to it. She is Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from LABI. We always appreciate the time.
Thank you, Brian. Have a good day.
You do the same. 750 at Talk 107.3 FM. WBRP. Quick break. When we come back, we'll have an abbreviated This Day in History next. Hi, Dan. Oh. Oh. So tight this morning. Yeah. Sometimes you sleep tense. You know, I don't know why I did this with my hands. I don't know what that means.
I've got rigor mortis.
7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Rolling right along with that vibe of old school Weather Channel music to start off your hurricane season. That's what we're doing this morning. But we can't just let that play. We got business to tend to. We've got this day in history. All right, John.
All right. Let's
Hey,
go.
quick programming note. I
Okay.
forgot to put this in the rundown. Mayor Friday, the reason we're doing this day in history right now, Monroe Mayor Friday L is going to join us at 8:05.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup.
1863, Harriet Tubman leads Union guerrillas into Maryland,
Hey, there he
freeing
is.
slaves.
Sorry, I didn't realize on it. Continue.
All right. 1924, President Calvin Coolidge signs the Indian Citizenship Act, also known as the Snyder Act, declaring
Okay.
all Native Americans to be American citizens.
That made it all better.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, 1933, FDR authorizes the first swimming pool built inside the White House.
Inside the White House?
Inside of it. There we go.
Like right there in the West Wing?
That's right.
Right by Josh
There we
Lyman's
go.
office?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't think anybody's going to get that. Well, okay.
It's okay. It's good to put it out there, though.
If you got that reference, let me know over on the Facebook Live feed presented by Lake Urchin Care.
Yes. 1979, John Paul II becomes the first pope to visit a communist country. That country was Poland.
Okay. Well, he was from Poland, so.
Yeah. 89. Oh, one of my favorite movies, Dead Poet Society, starring Robin Williams, premieres.
Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live? Yes, I showed it to you.
Yes.
The SNL spoof of.
Oh, man.
So good.
That took a turn that I was not expecting. I mean, oh, man.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yes. Oh, man. 2004, Ken Jennings becomes a 74-game winning streak on the syndicated television game show Jeopardy. Guy was on there. What?
Just a shout out for
74.
all nerds everywhere.
Wow.
Ken Jennings is our leader.
Man. All right. Anything else on this day?
Queen Elizabeth II was crowned queen on this day in 1953.
Okay, yeah.
And in an unrelated story, a Denver, Colorado jury found Timothy McVeigh guilty of the Oklahoma City bombing on this day in 1997. Birthdays, what you got?
I got Thomas Hardy right here.
Thomas Hardy?
Yeah.
Not Tom Hardy?
Not Tom Hardy.
Okay.
My man.
Thomas.
Dennis, yeah. Dennis.
British writer from the 1800s.
Yes. Just to
Okay.
clarify. Just throwing out names out there.
Right.
Let's see. Who else we got here? Wayne Brady also today. Actor Justin Long as well.
All right.
Remember that dude Beetlejuice? The little guy, the beady-eyed guy from the Howard Stern show? It's his birthday today.
Okay. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Could not tell you who that was.
Come on. Really?
I was never a Howard Stern guy.
I wasn't either, but I just see him constantly in I
liked his book, but it just
Right. Oh my goodness.
All right, was that it for your birthdays there?
Yeah.
Okay, so my normal email didn't come through this morning with the list of sports birthdays.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 deaths, not birthdays. So
Okay.
let's move on.
All right. Let's see. Birthday. Well, deaths. I actually got 2 in the sports world. I don't want to step
Lou
on that.
Gehrig.
Yep.
Yep.
That's one.
Who's the other one?
Oh man. Nope. Never mind. No, never mind. Just that one.
Okay.
My bad.
In the music world, Bo Diddley died on this day in 2008. What
That he
national
did.
day do you got?
American Indian Citizenship Day.
Sure, we'll roll with that.
Yep.
We're coming up on 8 o'clock at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. That, of course, was an abbreviated This Day in History. This Day in History, always brought to you by 5 Star Printing and Signs, 271-4096, 271-4096. Merchandising is more important now. I'm sorry, putting your brand on merchandise is more important now than ever. 271-4096 or printshop5.com. Yo, man.
Doing all right?
All right. Here we go. How you doing? Good to see you, sir.
Been good. Been good. What you got going on? You're going to be by the Capitol today? Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. What's his name?
Great dude. Great dude. But also at the Capitol today, just talking about a couple bills, some workforce bills, one being ran by Kim Carver, and also that one door bill, touch on crime too. We just nabbed up a real bleeder of the Bleeder gang in Monroe and put him behind bars.
Y'all gangs in Monroe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's the Bleeders and the Vultures little deal here. About a year ago, one of the gangs put a hit. One of the guys from the Bleeder gang was up here hiding out in Monroe, and they put a hit, called a local gang in Monroe to put a hit on him in Monroe and sprayed up a gas station in front of Walmart. And same guy, he got shot. The same guy comes back, pulls his gun in the Pecanland Mall, and somebody's Facebook Living it. And I had a post out there saying, hey, to the cameraman, you're the real MVP because you got all of them. Anyway, yeah, oh yeah, I've been my whole time I've been calling out judges there in Monroe. You repeat violent offenders.
Same shit here in Baton Rouge, man.
Yeah, can't call them gangs, call them groups, all kinds of stuff. I had two cases. The citizen, we bumped him on it, just gave him the details. Guy pled guilty to second-degree murder, charged 15 years in prison. The judge suspended his sentence for 5 years home probation. And then another one was a drive-by shooting, reduced it to something silly like negligent discharge of a firearm. Young lady has to live the rest of her life with a colostomy bag kind of thing. So it's just silly stuff that's going on. And, but cool thing is, good news, no victory lap here, but, we saw a 66% reduction in homicide since I've been in office.
Yeah.
Really just giving resources to officers, focusing on guns, gang, and fentanyl type and repeat violent offenders, running them up on the Western Circuit to full federal charges. So putting them out of 4th JDC, going up to the feds, spending a long time behind bars. You got to serve 80% of your sentence on Fed charges.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's shown good. So most all of our violent crime statistics are down by 46 up to 60%, and it's just Monroe PD just hammering down. And also on the prevention side of things, early intervention, starting with your kids at school kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I always say crime's like a two-headed coin. You got protection and prevention.
Yeah.
So working with school districts to help speed up truancy, get these kids, get children and families back in school. Yeah. But then again, it would take 90 days for some of these families to get brought in front of a court because their kid is delinquent, not going to school. Last kid that was shot in Monroe, 15-year-old, right? School was like he hadn't been in school all year. I mean, just running with neighborhood folks, and so anyway, just lots of things. Meta, big deal. Working on a hyper regional workforce development plan that's going to deliver workforce development. It's directly in line with the state's one-door policy. That's why we're tracking these bills. And so basically what we want to do is create a framework to deliver back to the state so they can kind of use it as a template throughout the region, because they're wanting to do hyper-regional workforce development plans all throughout the state. And so we went and said, hey, let us go first, because sheer population-wise, we can get to the finish line quicker and deliver this back to the state to where that can be plug and play for Hyundai, LNG, all the other developments around the state. So we can be able to, and that covers education, housing, infrastructure, economic development, workforce development models. So it is a comprehensive plan, kind of a North Star for communities. It's a strategic plan for regional strategic planning.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yep.
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. We got a lot of ground to cover this hour. We're going to head down to New Orleans at 8:35. Talk with Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company. We will, as we do every Monday, visit with Moon Griffon at 8:15. Right now, though, we got Monroe's mayor in the house. Friday Ellis is with us. What's happening, man? Welcome back.
Well, thanks for having us, gentlemen.
Always.
I appreciate it. We ran Moon off a long time ago.
Yeah, y'all did. Y'all ran him right out of. Yeah,
I missed that guy.
Yeah. So he's actually slated to be in studio tomorrow.
Very good.
So we picked him up as his Baton Rouge affiliate a couple years ago, and been growing the relationship. He's just such a good dude.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Very good guy. I've been on the show a few times.
From time to time, he can be a lot.
Yeah.
But
can't we all?
Yes. Yes. That's why we love him. But yeah, Moon's coming up in our next segment. Right now, though, what brings you to town?
So we're here, of course, a couple bills that I'm tracking at the Capitol to be sure that they are moving through. A lot of these are workforce development bills that will be able to fund comprehensive plans or strategic plans for hyper-regional workforce development plans.
Hyper-regional workforce development plan.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Let me break it down.
Go for it.
Each part of our state has its own diverse set of industry partners. And so, the workforce doesn't look the same in New Orleans or Lafayette as it does in Monroe. We don't have a lot of oil and gas industry based in or petroleum type activities in Northeast Louisiana. We have a lot of polyplastics, a lot of manufacturing, a lot of welding, and of course now Meta's new historic investment into the state of Louisiana. So it is a workforce development plan based upon the industry that you have and creating pipelines all the way from K-12 to higher ed to your community colleges that fit those industries in your region, so you're not training kids and shipping them off somewhere else in the country. They can find opportunity within your own region.
How difficult is it to build that out? I don't know how to say this the right way. How difficult is it to build that out, not knowing what the future holds? Let me give you an example.
Come on.
If you had built out a hyper-regional workforce development plan 5 years ago, I don't know that you're servicing Meta.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure one is serving the other?
Yeah, very good. So, I always tell people workforce development it starts whenever you're building it out to serve your own industry. They've already made the investment. They have dumped tons of money into payroll and you help them grow. So that's why you have your business attraction and expansion and retention opportunities there. And so you build out based upon the strength of your regional workforce, but also with anything, you have to be able to adapt and be nimble to new industries. So there are going to be places that are opportunities that present that type of investment doesn't exist. And so that's why it's very important that any plan starts first with the industry that you have within your community, but also provides the flexibility for you to be able to spend dollars towards standing something up.
How does this relate back to, and we're not allowed to say the term workforce development for more than 2 minutes without saying one door?
Good. Yeah,
we're required by state law to say one door every time we say workforce. How does this relate back to the one door program?
Yeah, so that's really where it started. And so it's creating a program that aligns with state dollars and state initiatives and their direction. And so it's putting all services such as all your workforce development folks under one place, creating a one-stop shop in a sense of places that you can find resources, job seekers, job producers, anything out there that creates, I guess you could say it's a Indeed on steroids. Do you see what I'm saying?
I like that.
Yeah, it's a one-stop shop where people can find job seekers and job producers can find resources either through those looking for employment or those training opportunities for people who are looking to get into that pipeline to go to work for these businesses.
Does it help or hurt, or does it make it tougher or easier to already have Meta there and then kind of retrofit your workforce back into it, rather than having that blank slate saying, I don't really know where we're going, but we got to get better?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I always say this, in the region now, it's going to kind of like an apple pie. There's a lot of ingredients that go in to make this pie, but Apple is definitely going to be, Meta is definitely going to be the apple.
Yeah.
The main ingredient, because I could tell you right now, everybody's talking about this initial investment, but what I'm seeing is the second wave of investment that's already at our doorstep, meaning all the vendors and suppliers who are there to be able to service this development. And our local regional economic development organization is looking at about 40 plus RFPs right now, requests for proposals of businesses looking. That equals up to close to 20 billion in additional investment and 4,000 new jobs.
Wow.
And so if you were to fill every single one of those. And so you can imagine the impact that it's already having on our housing stock. You have to think about regional healthcare and rural healthcare providers and what that means to their capacity to be able to build up schools. Think about that. Think about your school systems and their facilities maintenance and or the room for that. So it's as we build this thing out, I look at it as about a 6-year runway before you cut ribbon. And so we're looking at that immediately impacts flights in and out of Monroe are getting harder each day. And so if contractors having a hard time getting in and out, our existing businesses are having trouble as well. Rental cars, you name it. These are good problems to have. I'll tell people all the time. And so, but I want to say the positive news of all this, they're making it a very intentional to be able, the contractors and Meta, to hire local. And I have seen a ton of positive remarks from contractors and businesses and even gig economy type stuff, like folks who are driving Uber. They need more Ubers. People who are supplying like food trucks and things like that, like folks are getting plugged in to be able to make money and to service this investment. And so I do want to say this. I really have been impressed with LED and Secretary Bourgeois and their level of attention and their level of engagement. And I really am same way with Secretary Showen and the workforce development. I'm going to tell you, they have been great partners whenever we need help or we need them to lean in. And I can't say more good things about them.
Well, it's one of those things that's like a forehead slap once they started teaming up, where your workforce and your recruitment they're not separate.
That's right.
You can tell companies this is what we've got, this is who we've got, and who we are. It's pretty amazing thing. We got about 3 minutes left with Monroe Mayor Friday Ellis, who is in town. Going to be, so you got some crime related stuff to deal with.
Absolutely.
Crime related bills to deal with at the Capitol today as well. What are you working on there?
Well, more importantly, I just want to talk to our folks here and throughout the state about problems that we're having. And as I travel the state and as I travel the country to do at municipal conferences, crime is, leading the way. And one thing that is common, repeat violent offenders. repeat violent offenders who are continually, this revolving door of going in front of a judge or, weak DAs who fail to put these folks behind bars. And it's my opinion that someone's fifth chance shouldn't equal somebody else's death sentence. And that's what we're seeing constantly within our communities. And it seems like we're more interested in the rights of those who are pushing poison in our communities and those who are perpetuating violent crime upon families. We're more worried about them than we are the victims. And so it's a challenge that we face, and that look, stiffer penalties, to keep those folks out, but also on the backside of things, looking for ways to fund programs that are proven out to be able to engage our youth, to pour into them and to provide supports for families that need them.
We have a similar problem here in our problem here in Baton Rouge is not a weak DA. We have a very good DA. He's also a very understaffed DA. His office is understaffed, and when it comes to the judges, just do not get me started on that front. Because when we see the turnaround, the turnaround, they're right back on the street. When you see someone arrested who already has 5 ankle monitors on, all of them dead. I don't know how you put 3 on one leg and 2 on another. But that literally happened in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I talked to somebody the other day, and matter of fact, it was a judge. Judge came up and says, they have a constitutional right to bail. And I said, you know what? What about your citizens' God-given right to life? What do you say about that? Come with me and sit at a table to a mother who's lost the life of their 14-year-old child. Sit across from them and tell me about their constitutional right to bail.
When you had someone who had been arrested.
I could take their rap sheet, roll it out, and it hit their front door.
Yeah. He is Monroe's Mayor Friday Ellis. Got about 1 minute left before you get out of here, because we will get to Moon in our next segment. You were telling me a story. This is on a separate topic. You were telling me a story during the break. Can you share a quick synopsis of what you were just telling me about during the break with your parolee or potential pardon?
Absolutely. So, when it comes to crime, we really do want to be tough on crime. But when there are those who get out and change their life and use it, I tell people it's not what you did, it's what you continually do that makes a man or a woman. And so I'm also here today to speak on behalf of a community leader that is up for a pardon. And so they're going to be in front of the parole board, and I want to speak on their behalf. And there are so many members from Monroe that are down here to speak on behalf of this young man who's changing lives, who is pouring into his community over the past, 10, 15 years. And he is an example of what happens when you come out and you make a difference in your community and you change your life, and you use this opportunity as a reason to talk to youth about what not to do, but also to live a life of service. And so we also, as elected officials and leaders in our communities, need to stand up for those individuals who come back and are reformed and are doing whatever they can to make a difference in their community. And so we need to be there to stand by them and support them, to say, we're here with you.
It just opens up the whole picture, though. The difference between making a mistake at a certain age and then recognizing, having contrition, and serving your time versus just rinse and repeat.
That's right.
It's the difference is all the difference. He's Monroe's Mayor Friday Ellis. I greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely. Thanks, gentlemen.
8:17 coming up on 8:18 to Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. Come back. We will talk with Moon Griffon next.
Thank you.
It's always too fast when you're here. Damn it.
Yeah.
When you coming back?
Whenever you need me back.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll bump you guys when I'm back next. Well, I'm here Wednesday for they're doing legislative day for our economic development organization. I'm back Friday. I want to talk to thinking Cleo Fields, to talk to him. Just to
good luck with that shit.
Yeah. So we're talking to I talk to everybody that represents the state of Louisiana to talk about what's going on in Monroe. Because there may be things such as, we're one of we do a state sheltering point to point. So if there are any federal dollars that are able to help, if there are bills that are out there too, there are water resource bills that we're working on. We're looking to do a similar secondary campus to water campus, because a whole different aspect starts looking at our aquifer systems and our watershed. Because we live in the Mississippi Delta, and we need.
All right, sounds good.
These
smaller rural parishes that don't have dollars of their own to be able to contribute. How do they hire the engineers to understand the watershed and understanding the downstream impacts of what that has?
Right.
So looking at a way either through a nonprofit or somehow combine our 3 universities to allow their research dollars to do a comprehensive study like 2D, 3D modeling and mapping of our watershed.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you'll say it's not who's got the hot hand at Baton Rouge or in DC. Basically, it is a multidisciplinary approach looking at where your largest capacity building projects are in your region. And so our appropriators now can say this is backed by engineering, this is backed by, all these folks that now we can appropriate for these large projects. Kind of East Baton Rouge Ascension kind of deal. You build capacity up here, all you're doing is dumping it down south. If we would just all work together and look at the entire watershed and work on building a larger project together with multi-parishes.
Have you talked with Paul Sawyer from the Amite River Basin Commission?
I have not. I've been talking at the time we started this discussion with Justin Aaronworth. And now,
okay, I don't know. I know the name.
Bo
I don't know.
He used to be the CEO of Water Campus. Now it's
okay, that's right. Yeah.
From Tech, and then Garrett Graves.
One quick second. John, did the committee soundbite? All right. Yeah. Just the quick hit.
Garrett Graves and Congressman Letlow put some language in an act bill that enabled a secondary campus.
Paul Sawyer with the Amite River Basin Commission was Garrett's chief of staff. So amazing guy, brilliant guy.
I'm gonna reach out. Very good.
If you want, I'll send a text to the both of you.
Please do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen.
821 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. The old school Weather Channel vibe continuing to start off your hurricane season today. It is time to flush that vibe, though, because it's about to get cranked up. We got Moon Griffon with us. How are you, sir?
Brian, I'm doing great, man, except kind of rough to watch the baseball game last night. God, immersed. I wanted them to end it. I wanted them to rest. And LSU just fell short. Looked like they played a little bit flat. But the good news for LSU is they get another home game, and I think they'll win tonight. But that's just one of those things, you know.
All right. So one of the topics of discussion over in the Facebook chat for the show has been why not go to Zach Cowan or Kason Evans last night just to end it then? What's your if you were Coach Jay Johnson, do you keep Cowan and Evans for the last resort, or do you burn them, or do you run with them earlier?
You know, that's why coaches always get second guessed. They got a lot of great managers sitting out there writing posts. You know, they where they are because of the team they got and the players and the coach. You got to believe this is the way he thought. This is the way the decision was made, and I don't really know it's the right decision because anytime as a coach you make a decision, when you do good, you made a great decision. When you do bad, you made the wrong decision.
So I guess
let me tell you this, Brian. You know this. You played ball and you follow this. It really comes down to the kid on the pitching mound or the kid bat.
Right.
The coach can't do none of that.
Right.
So LSU's got all these guys, 4-star, 5-star, NIL, everything. You think they have, they got probably 15 to 20 pitchers on the roster. You think they have kids can come in and get something done. It's LSU, for God's sakes. But
right. Just throw strikes.
It happened last night. So I don't really know if second guessing the coach when, that's a tough position to be in. You're going to get criticized if you don't win. That's just part of the game because there's so much money involved.
And we'll know after tonight. I mean, if LSU wins tonight, then it was obviously the right call to hold them off. And if not, then Jay Johnson
Can I ask you one quick question on it?
Go for it.
Do you think Little Rock has better pitching than LSU? Depth-wise, it ought not even be close.
No.
Yet Little Rock found a way to win not one but 2 games yesterday. So it's just, they're on a roll and they got a lot of confidence right now. But you got to beat them tonight now. It's all over if you don't win tonight.
No, absolutely. 8 p.m. start time on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Really, really would give anything to have them start an hour or two earlier. I mean, morning shows happen early in the morning, so it's rough sledding to be sure. All right, Moon, we got to rewind the clock back a little bit here, and I've been having some fun with your audio all week long. And you left the rails, man. You left the rails about a week ago. You were talking about Jude, and I was with you in spirit, and then you dropped this gem on us.
Put them on the toilet bowl committee or the poop committee.
Moon, what is the poop committee?
I don't know, but they need to make one up because they don't need to be on Jude. They need to put some of those guys off the committee. That's all I was saying. By the way, Brian.
Yes.
Just to liven up the program, I got a text Friday evening from Governor Landry's office. 10:06 today. Governor Landry in the house, in the studio in Lafayette.
Really?
Today.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Be ready, because I had him on. It was either Thursday morning or Wednesday. I think it was Thursday morning. I had him on, and he's at full speed right now. He is like Jeff Landry plus a couple Red Bulls right now. So I had a list of things I wanted to talk about, and he just fired out the blocks like it was the like he might as well have been a Churchill Downs.
By the way, he came to the right place.
How long you got him for?
I don't know. I think it will stay pretty much the whole hour. They never gave me a time, so I didn't book nothing on the backside.
Okay. All right. Well, and
we've had conversations where they had to get him off, and I understood that. We've had conversations where he hung around for an hour. So whatever the governor needs. I mean, look, I've been friends. I've supported him. But I'm gonna question all of them. You know that, Brian.
Oh,
It's just what I do, and I don't mind doing it, and I don't really care whose feelings I hurt at this point.
So when the governor was on last week, and I know you don't like the step forward stuff, but when he was on last week, he said definitively he believes enough got done in this session to lower our car insurance premiums. If I see a definitive drop in car insurance premiums, Moon, that's not a step forward, that's a leap.
Yeah, because if you look at what we've been fighting for many, many years, and increases anywhere from 5 to 15 to 17%, I think, last year. Yeah, that's a big deal. So let's see how I handle this morning when he comes on. I got a feeling you're going to like how I'm going to handle the beginning of the program, because we're going to talk about that exact thing at the beginning of the show.
Okay, looking forward to it.
If I get to get a word in.
I'm just telling you, be ready. Be ready. He fired out the blocks like a strong like a pulling guard.
Well, I'm okay with that. I like a little emotion, a little attitude. It don't bother me. I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, we go back a long ways, and it's kind of like having a brother, and the fact that I don't mind fighting with you, but I want him to be able to make his points.
No, same.
Get to hollering, that's a waste of an hour.
And I got to tell you, I will say this separately. All the fights that we're going to have over insurance and all the fights that you and the governor are going to have over insurance, or me and the governor, whomever, we got to remember big picture. A couple things. Number one, economic development, we're kicking butt. Economic development, we're seeing wins everywhere. Education, we're seeing wins everywhere. Department of Transportation, we're going to see some transformation. There's a lot of, if you zoom out to the bigger picture, there's a lot of good going on here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let him talk about it too.
Okay.
The only thing I've ever concerned about when we start talking about jobs here, Brian, and this is what I've seen and noticed in the past, and I'm hoping Governor Landry is 100% different. We had a lot of job announcements from Governor Blanco, Jindal, Bell Edwards, and never came true. Never. I always get concerned when they say we got these jobs coming in 28 and 29. They used to be coming in 21 and 22 that never showed up. I hope we pass that. I just hope and pray, because I've seen it so many times. We had a car manufacturing company coming in Monroe, 3,500 new jobs. Bobby Jindal cut the ribbon, never came. That place is now a truck stop.
Yeah.
Elio Motors was coming in Shreveport, never came. That was under either Jindal or Blanco, I forget who. Then we had Bell Copter place coming here under Bell Edwards. That warehouse is still empty at the airport. We had the TRC, TXC, whatever it was, technology coming to New Orleans. They did start. They promised 2,000 jobs and got up to 200 and is now gone. those are the ones that bother me because there's a lot of those that have happened. So on the flip side, we've announced them. And I'm tickled to death for the governor because that's what he promised. Tickled to death. I want to see him, Brian. I want to see him.
The important part to follow there, and I'll take this back to when Stephen Moray was heading up economic development. The important part to follow there is reading the fine print, because anything that didn't come to fruition under Stephen Moray, we got our money back. Anything that was promised to them had to be returned back to us. So, it's disappointing, but if it's a net zero.
I know, but Brian, let me tell you something. I like hope. Hope is an awesome thing.
Yeah, it is.
False hope is not a good thing. You got people hoping and believing this is something will happen and it doesn't happen. And I've seen a lot of it. But I'm going to say this. Tickled to death. We'll probably talk about all that today, too. The governor can go on that as well.
He is Moon Griffon, coming up 9 to 11 right here at Talk 107.3 and everywhere around the state. 10:06. Governor Jeff Landry will be in studio with Moon. You coming to town tomorrow?
Yes, sir. I will be there bright and early. Looking forward to it. Got a full day lined up, so it's all going to be good.
Can't wait. We'll see you then, brother. Thanks for hopping on board.
All right. All right, Brian. God bless. Thank you.
You too. 8:30 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're going to pivot after this. Head on down to New Orleans. Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company going to set the table for what is going to be a very, very busy summer down in the Big Easy. Speaking of which, I'll be down there next week next week? Yeah, next week as well for Department of Education. Right now, let's catch news, traffic, weather right here on Talk 107.3. The Poop Committee, chairman of the Poop Committee.
It's important. Chairman of the Poop Committee.
Okay, I gotta go back to I still gotta get Landmark Bank and Mathern's in. Do I have Goodwood on here?
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know that one. I probably should have put a question mark by, but yeah, it looks like. What time was that one?
It said 7:36.
7:36. Yep. Weird.
Nobody has said thing one to me about this.
Yeah, looks like right behind Landmark Bank. Weird. Yeah, see right here. Landmark. Unless Goodwood. I didn't hear an ad for Goodwood.
Spot 3. No, that's not me. That's a 15.
Oh, okay.
If that were a live read, it would be 60.
It'd be, okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my bad. Let's see.
Also, Lisa wouldn't have scheduled them on top of each other.
All right.
Oh. I wish Goodwood would sign up with me.
Really?
Testosterone treatments are a real thing.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I sleep maybe 2-3 hours a night right now.
Dude,
I'm a father of 3. I know. But as a father of 3, I'm 48 years old.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to say if I could afford it, I would definitely be doing it.
Studio. Oh yeah. Are you scheduled an interview?
Kelly?
Give me 1 second. Walt Leger?
Good Walt?
Yeah. Kelly called earlier, but now Walt's calling asking about an interview.
Hey, Walt? Hey, it's Brian. It's supposed to be you or Kelly this morning. I was told you weren't available. She called earlier and then was going to call back so she wasn't sitting on hold for too long. Okay. Quickly, when we do talk, what do you know about this? The Churchill Downs and the fairgrounds and all that other stuff. I haven't read up on it a whole lot. I just had some listeners asking me about it. Perfect. Good deal. You too. Appreciate it.
Studio. Hi, yes, ma'am. Yeah, looking to have you up here in just a few minutes. All right, thank you. Woo, woo.
All right, time to dig in on your forecast, and here's what we've got going on over the next few days. It is going to be warmer, to be sure. June is here, so the hotter temperatures are here. Man, Saturday and Sunday were quite the break, weren't they? Well, more Saturday than Sunday. Today, we're getting up to about 90, 91 degrees. Overnight low, get back down to 69. No chance of rain today. Tomorrow, up to 91, 92 degrees with an overnight low of 71. Wednesday, same thing, but you'll have a 30% chance of rain into the forecast. 92 on Thursday, 93 on Friday, 93 on Saturday. Looking ahead next Monday, June the 9th, that's when we have a significant chance of rain back in the forecast. Even still, though, it's only 50-50, but it'll stick around throughout next week. Right now, we're looking at sunny skies at 78 in downtown Baton Rouge. Should have had that going during the report there. That was your local on the 8th.
No,
Starting off your hurricane season vibing with the old school Weather Channel music. As we've been doing all morning long. It's just such a groove. Such a vibe. All right. We got Kelly Shulz on with New Orleans and Company joining us right now because they've got a busy summer in front of them. Kelly, welcome back. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Brian. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Now, glad to have you on. We got a stack of things to talk about. Actually, before we get into anything, though, next week I will be down in New Orleans because, look, we're going to talk about some of the big ticket items, but New Orleans brings so many conventions and conferences to town that never register on anybody's radar. I'm going to be down there at the Montreal Convention Center next week for the State Department of Education's Teacher Leadership Summit. And then while I'm down there, I'm also going to piggyback because Radio, TV, and Digital News Association has their annual conference over at the Montleone. It's just, we always hear about the big ticket ones, but never that, all those, I'll call them calendar fillers.
It's true. The meetings and conventions are a very important part of our economy, very much of what we do at New Orleans and Company to make sure that those groups really form like the foundational layer of tourism in New Orleans. And so our convention sales team works with groups like the ones you just described. In fact, right now they're booking meetings and conventions in New Orleans for as far out as the year 2040.
Wow.
So that is big business for us. And I'm glad that you're going to be in our city.
Yep. Well, I'll be down there for the 10th, nights of the 10th and 11th. And well, now thanks to the RTDNA, I'll be staying all the way through the 12th as well before coming back home. All right, let's talk about a couple of the major summer events. I can't decide if I want to go chronologically or in order of things that just astound me. Let's start off June 13th through 15th. Coming up next weekend, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. The Pokemon North America International Championships.
That is right. There are so many things going on in New Orleans this summer, and your listeners are not very far away and can come take advantage of all of this. So Pokemon North America International Championship, this is an event that's being held in New Orleans for the first time, actually, at the Montreal Convention Center. So it'll showcase top competitors in Pokemon, video games, Pokemon Go. There will be interactive activities, lots of things for families and young gamers, and really anyone who has grown up with Pokemon or is interested in that is welcome to participate in this event. It's June 13th through the 15th at the Convention Center.
How much do you know about competing in Pokemon? Because I didn't know this was a competition. I thought there were like collector cards in a cartoon. You can compete with this?
There are people that are there competing. Yes, I am not an expert at Pokemon, I have to tell you, but it is a competition. It has a very, very loyal fan base, and so people are going to come from all over the country to participate in this championship, and it is something that locals and Louisiana residents can come buy tickets and enjoy it for a day or for the full event.
Is this kids or like grown-ass men doing this?
I think it's a combination.
Okay.
It's a little bit of everything. So you'll see families, you'll see kids, you'll see adults. Again, this is, we're always working to build a diverse group of events, right?
No, yes. Look, all takers, all comers. I'll take it. Absolutely. For sure. It like you said, I'm not an expert on this either. That you've got champions. Someone will walk out the Pokemon champion.
Yeah. And we're also doing, something similar in July with GalaxyCon. That is another, sort of gamer comic book type convention. That's going to be held for the first time in New Orleans. That's July 11th through 13th.
Yes.
Also at the Convention Center.
Yes.
And so we're working hard to bring, a diverse group of events. We also have for the first time the UFC 318, the ultimate the MMA fighters is going to be in New Orleans on July 19th.
Yes.
So that'll also bring thousands of visitors to the city. We've not hosted this type of championship event before. Dustin Poirier, who is going
Louisiana's
to be,
own.
He is from Louisiana, from Lafayette. He is going to be in this competition against Max Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's going to be really exciting to see him and his sort of final match of his career right here in his home state.
Hey, hang on right there. We got Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company with us. I want to go back to GalaxyCon real quick, Kelly, because yes, you're going to have all kinds of people who are this like level of fandom of things to where they travel to it. You're not going to believe this. You ever watch Impractical Jokers?
Yes.
Murr from Impractical Jokers is going to be at GalaxyCon. I had him on the show a couple weeks ago talking about his new book. And he's like fired up to come down to New Orleans.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about these conventions is that you do have influencers and celebrities that come to these things. And so it's exciting for the fans. It's great for us. These folks are going to come in, spend their hard-earned dollars on hotel rooms, and hopefully, like I know you will do, enjoy the city when they're here, and go to some of our amazing restaurants and really just, make it an entire experience. And the summer is a great time to do that in New Orleans. And And we love having these conventions and with the celebrities and influencers that come along with it. It's really, really meaningful.
Back to Dustin Poirier and UFC 318 that's coming up on July 19th. How big of a draw is UFC to like bring people into town? Because this is going to be a big card. This is going to be a big night with Dustin Poirier kind of rounding out his career. How big of a draw is that for folks from out of town to come down to New Orleans for it?
It is a huge draw. We're seeing a lot of interest, a lot of demand. The Smoothie King Center is the venue, and ticket sales are going well. We also, in addition to the thousands of fans, are going to welcome a couple hundred journalists who come to cover the fight. So again, we're going to have thousands of visitors here, but also journalists who are going to come and cover this, but also report on the city and why it's a great venue for sporting events like this. Of course, we just had Super Bowl. We've done Final Fours. We are, now with UFC. Yep. So really making the point that New Orleans is a great place to host these types of major sporting events. It's a big draw. It's a walkable city. You're not going to be, once you get to New Orleans, you're not going to be in your car driving 45 minutes to a stadium out in the suburbs. Everything is very compact and walkable. And that's why sports fans and conventioneers and visitors love to come to New Orleans.
We're talking with Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company about a number of the events they've got coming up over the summer. Actually, Kelly, we can get back to the big ticket items on the back end if that's possible. I do want to talk about some of those smaller things. Like here in Baton Rouge, we'll have local events like Hot Art Cool Nights or White Linen Night. Y'all do a number of these in New Orleans really, really well. Tell me what's on the calendar this month.
We do. So, one of the things, we do have a couple of those in August, actually. So we have White Linen Night, which happens August 2nd. So that's a beautiful event that happens in our warehouse and arts district. All of the galleries open up and people stroll through Julia Street, and there's live music, there's food and drinks, and it's really about supporting the arts and fostering growth of the arts in the city. We have Tales of the Cocktail happening here in July, which is a cocktail convention that happens every July in New Orleans. We also have the New Orleans Food and Wine Experience, which is a 5-day event, not small at all.
Right.
But that is all about, amazing dishes from top chefs. There's food and wine and tastings and seminars. And so, again, another great opportunity to come to New Orleans and enjoy what the city has to offer over the summer.
We've got just a couple minutes. We got 2 minutes left with Kelly Shulz from New Orleans and Company. Okay, coming up in August, there are pickleball competitions, and then there's doing it right with putting on a whole festival. The NOLA Pickle Fest coming up August 6th through 10th. Y'all taking this thing to another level. Tell me about it.
We have. It is. This is actually going to be the 3rd annual NOLA Pickle Fest. It happens August 6th through the 10th. And what makes it exciting is that it benefits the Drew Brees Dream Foundation. So Drew Brees and his team have been very much involved in this. We are involved in it as well as the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. So Drew Brees is typically there participating. So, there's registration open through July 25th. The event starts on August 6th. And, it's really a high energy, sort of festival style, right? It's not just pickleball. We sort of make it very much New Orleans like it's a festival. So there's live music, there's VIP experiences, there's, Drew Brees himself will be there for a celebrity exhibition match. So again, it's an example of trying to bring new events to the city, but also, inside the convention center, you'll stay nice and cool. And then have pickleball, but also have a little bit of New Orleans flair.
Absolutely. And then things will wrap up. Well, I shouldn't say wrap up, but August will continue at kind of the same time. There's an overlap here. USA Gymnastics Championships.
That's right. This event has not been in New Orleans for over 30 years. And so what's exciting about this is that you're going to have some of the top junior and senior gymnasts who are competing for national titles and a chance to represent Team USA. So this is an exciting event. It's also held at the Smoothie King Center, and it's something that families can come and they are competing towards the Olympics, which are going to be in Los Angeles in the summer of 2028. So really excited to have that event back. And again, all of these things are things that people can purchase tickets to and enjoy. You know, we didn't even mention the Essence Festival of Culture, which is always a huge highlight of the summer in New Orleans. That takes place over the July 4th weekend.
Tell you what, let's push that one up to the top of the agenda for next time we talk, because Essence Fest is huge, and not to be overlooked. In the meanwhile, the gymnastics championship, that's one, like, if you've got kids that are in gymnastics, and I'm talking like, 10, 11, 12 years old, you want to bring them to this, because this is where they're going to learn all the names that they're going to see in the Summer Olympics. That's where you pick up the names before they're hot names.
That is exactly right. It's very exciting. And, we're excited about the Olympics being in the U.S. in 2028. Yeah. So we're already thinking about ways that when we have people from all over the world coming to Los Angeles to watch the Olympic Games, what can we do to make sure that they're maybe planning a trip to New Orleans afterwards while they're still in the United States? So we're thinking short term about the summer, but then we're also thinking about those long-term opportunities too, to bring visitors to New Orleans, which of course, when we do that, it's good for Baton Rouge and good for the entire state.
Yes, it is. She is Kelly Shulz with New Orleans & Company. We always appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping on board.
Thanks, Brian.
Here's your money now. I don't know what to feature today. There was so much good shit. I don't know what to feature. Let's make this one the featured. Setting the table for a busy summer in New Orleans. I'll have to email and apologize for making fun of Pokemon people.
Not just like, are there adult men who are playing this? It's like, no, are there grown ass men playing this? Oh man.
Kelly was awesome. Really liked the way that flowed. Thanks and apologies to Kelly for letting me have some fun with the Pokemon competitors.
Oh yeah, as
Oh, by the way, that's sponsored content. We're gonna be on twice a month promoting New Orleans.
All right. Oh, thanks. Yeah, man.
And I'm super, like, I'm hypersensitive about things not sounding like
Right.
you know.
Oh man. But yes, as someone who goes to Comic-Cons pretty frequently,
yeah,
I can tell you that it's grown men.
No, I know, but we all have some. We're all nerds for something. Everybody nerds out on something.
Everybody.
Yes.
I nerd out on that stuff. I never was really into like Pokemon or things like that, but
grown ass men,
bruh.
I thought they just traded cards and like look for things.
Man,
I thought Pokemon Go was like, I'm looking for a.
No, I've seen men lose it I've seen men.
But how do you
lose it at
compete?
tables of just like, or just sitting around Comic-Cons and they're like sitting on the floor playing amongst each other. I've seen people get really, really pissed. And it's just like, man, I don't know.
How does one compete at Pokemon?
Yeah, man, you got a solid card in your hand, and man,
But it's not like playing Uno.
I know, right? But speaking of, last time I played Uno Flex for the first time. That was pretty cool.
I don't.
That's pretty cool. Youth group kids, man. It's just what it is. Yeah, man.
Byron says, I was so excited. I would love you to do ED live reads. Nope, it's not ED, dude. It's the testosterone stuff.
Yeah.
I get like, if I'm in the gym for more than half an hour, I feel myself just like fall off the table. I get, but yeah, to have the ability to make it through a show without yawning, it's all tied into the same thing. And I know the science behind it. I just don't do it. It's probably easier to find a Pokemon than a date. See, the thing about a Pokemon competition, you got to have it in New Orleans so they can all go to Big Daddy's afterwards or the Hustler Club. $8.56 to talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along, kicking off your hurricane season with Weather Channel vibes. It's kind of been fun. It's a smooth ride in the background, not really imposing on the show. Yes, it is hurricane season. Got underway yesterday. Hey, thanks again to Kelly Shulz for hopping on board for New Orleans and Company. I appreciate her having some fun with the Pokemon stuff. So I asked AI, how does one compete in Pokemon? It said to compete in competitive Pokemon, you first need to join the Play Pokemon Championship Series, which involves earning championship points at events like League Challenges, League Cups, and Regional Championships. Qualifying for the World Championships requires a certain number of championship points. You can also earn direct invitations to the World Championships by placing well in major events like international championships. That told me nothing. I want to, like, in football, you take a ball and you try to cross a goal line. That's how you score points. In basketball, there is a rim with a net underneath it. You put the ball through said hoop. That's how you score points. In baseball, you have 90 feet between the bases. You make it 4 bases. You score a run. LSU. That's how you win. I know how to win at so many different things. Bowling, poker, gin rummy. I want to know, how do you... I'm going to have to go down there. I'm going to be down there.
Yeah, there you go.
It's actually the day after I leave.
Oh.
So.
Man.
I don't know. I got to squint. We're not going to get to the Ernie Johnson thing. So, anyway, got to tell you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. Where do you find Landmark Bank? You find them online first at landmarkbankla.com. Once you've gotten to landmarkbankla.com, you can hit on About Us. The little About Us tab will tell you where all their branches are. Locations and hours are on that About Us tab. And you're going to find them not in downtown Baton Rouge. You're going to find them in local communities like Clinton, like Greensburg, like Zachary, like Denham, like Brewley, That's where you're going to find Landmark Bank, because in 1897, they were founded as a community bank. In 2025, they remain true to their mission. They're still a community bank. Nothing they can't do, whether it comes to your personal checking, business checking, whether it comes to personal loans, buying a home, adding on to a home, whether it comes to taking that entrepreneurship dive and then starting a business. Nothing they can't do, but they're here for you on a local level, on a community level. It's landmarkbankla.com. All right, not enough time to get into anything else today. It has been a super duper busy show. Thanks again to Kelly Shulz, Moon Griffon, Friday Ellis, Mary Beth Hughes, Derrickson, Will Landry as well. All of them hopping on board. If you missed any piece of it, all the content, all the individual interviews will be available on demand at talk1073.com. We got to get out of here. We will be back at it tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Congressman Troy Carter is going to join us. Jeff Carrera is going to join us. You know, the Tuesday slate. We'll see you then. All right, Facebook, I got to skedaddle. We will see y'all tomorrow.